I have the lower unit removed from the Mercury motor, 60 horse, and I haven't cleaned up or anything. That's a little dirty, but I cleaned up the top, and I've taken out all the pump components, of course, and those will be replaced later. I'll try and show you that. Right now, before putting it back together or taking it back out and then doing the pump, I'm going to do a pressure test. There's a regulator. It's attached to a fitting. This fitting is what was on the hand pump to use to fill. Normally, you'd screw this in here, and then there's this simple little thing here goes into your can of gear or your bottle of gear oil, and you pump it in from the bottom, and you pump it up until it comes out of one of your vent holes. Then you put all your plugs back in. Yeah, I just had to set the camera down so I could get this thread started. So tightening it, there's an O-ring at the end there. That's good. Next up, get rid of this. And I'll hook this up. Okay, it's connected. Plugs are in. Yep, and I've checked them that they are tight. And we'll put in just a few PSI. I'm just going to go with 5 or so. Oops. Wrong way. That's about 10 PSI right now. And I have here some, it's dish soap in water. And I'll check around the water pump here. And around the shifter. Now look, there's nothing there. It's kind of hard doing this looking through the camera, but I've checked this actually just before, and I didn't see any bubbles. I don't see any now. I took the prop out. I checked right around the prop shaft right here. And I'm not getting anything. I can see if I can wiggle the shaft. The shaft is tight, so that's good. Around here, the housing. I'll just strip it from the front, or from the top rather. So I've got nothing there bubbling, and it will bubble. I've got a good soap concentration. If you leave one of these just cracked open, you'll blow a pretty big bubble. This unit had milky white fluid in it, and what I found were the seals up here were okay, but the little seal that was down on here was totally deteriorated. It was just fuzzy bits of black pieces. So I have replaced those, and for the purpose of the test, maybe they've gotten slightly used. I'll just put another fresh set of 3 in when I fill this unit and then plug it. But I want to make sure that this stays dry while we operate it. Okay, right now we're going to refill this. Now that it's been pressure tested, there are some plugs here. There's I guess technically this is the vent, like a rear vent plug. And there's a seal. I'll leave that seal in there. It's brand new. When I pressure tested it, prior to that I replaced all the seals, and I just had them lightly closed. There, the seal came out with this one. I don't know how much you can see that little guy. So you just have to keep track of whether the seals are in it or not. I'll put these up here. That's a clean place. And we've got one, so a rear drain seal and a rear drain and a forward drain. And this one in the bottom is the fill plug. I'm not going to take it out all the way. Just right now there might be some residual oil that spills out. What I am going to do though is get the gizmo here, it's just a plastic pump. I think I just grabbed this from somewhere myself, and I don't think that I bought for any particular purpose. It was from a spray pump. Actually, yeah, I remember it was from a hand cream pump. And this plug I bought from somewhere, and that's the adapter. That's the, I think it's 3/8 by 16 pitch. Don't quote me on that, look it up. But anyhow, first of all, we'll get the plug out. And there's seal with it. And it's oozing. Yeah, that's great. It's oozing. I will go like so. Tighten it up. Excuse the camera jiggle. I have to get this rag from under the tripod. There we go. Okay, like so. Put that in, and all we do is we pump. My previous hose was kind of hardened and messed up, but it was a clear hose. You could actually see when it was going through, but I can tell by the positive pressure action here that it is pumping. And I'll keep pumping until I see it in one of these two holes. Just for reference, there's a level. I leveled this so that it's in the proper attitude. Get this filled. This is I didn't show you, but this is 80W90. It's a limited slip differential fluid, and it says good for outboards. It's not the Quicksilver Mercury brand, but it is high pressure gear oil. Very tacky, gummy, but it wasn't there. Some of it's coming out there, right? I'm pumping just a little more. Okay, that seems to be it. If I pump, I'm just letting it settle a bit. Okay, I am going to put, that already has a seal in it. This is the plug without a seal. I'm going to place that in here. And I'm going to pump it one more time, and I'll probably see it shortly from this hole. There, whoop, 3 pumps, and it's there. I'm going to put this plug in. It's got the seal on it. Okay. Before I take the bottom out, the bottom attachment, I'm going to tighten these down. Just a good snugness. Oops, my table's rolling. These will close off the vents, so it won't leak so much when I undo the bottom here. The plug is ready. There's always some kind of mess. There are my fingers in it right now. And get that plug in. Tighten it down. Absorbed quite a bit. Okay. That's good to go. That's good to go. You see, I also took the time before, since the other video, I cleaned off the algae and crud with some Scotch-Brite and threw a little bit of wax on it. Of course, now the oil probably takes some of that wax off, but that's fine. This whole thing really, at some point, should be stripped and painted, but we won't worry about that just now. Let me review what we have here. This is the old pump housing, and it would go like so. Okay, there is a, it is not in bad condition. This way, it's pretty good. It concerned me at first, there were some ridges, but the ridges were just buildup of rubber, melted or welded on rubber from this failing impeller, and I was able to use Scotch-Brite and clean them up. So everything's pretty smooth. This face is smooth. There's a little slight groove around from where the hub rode. It actually is not bad. It's not in the area of the rubber, where the rubber veins have to seal, so it's just fine. This is the impeller, and you can see that one especially is kind of bent over different than the others. That one's sort of bent different. This is curled. They're all kind of curled, and this rubber is cracking and it's hardened. So this is a throwaway. I'm glad that I decided to inspect the pump. This unit's not been well maintained. When I took it apart, there's this plate that goes here. It's got a gasket on the bottom. That gasket is no good. It's like so, and there's another gasket which is totally disintegrated, goes around. That gasket was actually poking out and hanging out of the from the outline of the base here. So it was leaking. It was not good. So I'm going to reuse this, but I'm going to replace the plate. The reason I'm going to reuse the housing is that the new housing on this place here, the new housing, it's bright and shiny, looks great, except here somebody has manually deburred these slits for the pump, and they've gone over here, and you can tell they've done it with a Dremel, some kind of tool. It's rough here. It's rough here. There's some roughness even right around here. So this is right there. There are a couple vertical slots. Well, not slots, but scrapes. And so I don't like this. This is perfect, the face, but this, not good. I'm not pleased with that, but I didn't really want this anyhow when I ordered the kit. This kit had 75% of what I wanted, so it was cheaper to buy the kit than to individually buy this gasket, that gasket, and so on. The reason I will replace the plate's not bad. The inner area's got a little groove, but it's not bad, but I have to scrape it and clean it. Well, I'm just going to use this one. I have to make sure I get the orientation right when I install these. These four holes are not symmetrical. It goes actually this way, but not that way. And I just verify that ahead of time. And I go, hey, yep, holes line up. That's great. And it comes with the gaskets. So the gaskets are going to be like so. This little tiny hole is offset. This eyebrow, excuse me, this eyebrow is actually offset counterclockwise a little bit. So it's not symmetrical this way, this way. So this gasket goes this way so that it leaves that little lead hole open. So it goes like that. And this goes like so for the pump. And the pump will go over top like that. And I didn't show you the new impeller yet. I'll show you the new impeller. This thing, by the way, the only thing I had to do, there's a tiny bit of a burr here I didn't like, non-functional. I mean, this just goes through, the drive shaft goes through with clearance, but I cleaned up that little burr if it was there. The new impeller is right here. And we'll take that out of the package. This kit came with a new key, but I'll just use the old key because it's just fine. The key is an unusual type I'm not used to. It's got a flat on one side and then the little half round here. I'll just adhere that there with a little bit of grease. And then I'll show you the old impeller. The old impeller has a little bit of a rounded notch in it. That will seat over top of that drive key. And the kit also came with new washers. There's some bolts that go here 10 millimeter head. I'm not sure what it was, M6 or so. I don't know what they are. New washers. They came with some O-rings, and I think the O-rings, I have to look. This one did not have O-rings installed beforehand. I've seen online that some units would install with O-rings. I've got to figure out where to exactly put those. But these yellow things are sealing washers for these plugs. And if I'd known this was in the kit, I wouldn't have bought a separate set. I ended up buying a package of 5 or 6 or 7 or whatever. Cost me, $10 or so. That was money I didn't have to spend. One other thing that is included with the kit, I'm just looking, I'm a little confused. Here's the old one. This is the output that goes to the motor. This is just an adapter. You put this on, and when you assemble, this has got a bit of bevel on it. Goes up, finds the pickup tube, and goes on. Here we are. This is the new adapter for the pickup tube. This piece I'm not going to use. That is this seal here. It's a big rubber construction. It's got an O-ring on the ID and an O-ring on the OD to fit to the drive housing here. It didn't leak when I did the spritz test with the oil and when it was pressurized, so I'm not going to worry about it right now. Maybe a future year, maybe next year, I'll replace that. I'll also replace seals down on the bottom. There are O-rings down here, and also pressed in steel seals in steel housings, a couple back-to-back seals. So let's see here. The only other thing I haven't shown you is the zinc. I had it here. This is the zinc. This side is kind of corroded. I cleaned it up a little bit on the belt sander. That side was one side that was clean. I'm going to install it. It goes right here. It's right in the path of the water flow. Anyhow, right, it's near the water flow as it goes. Well, actually, it gets sucked up through here, through the pump, out through there, and up. So it washes past that. This is held in place just with a little piece of rubber. Oops. And it goes in like so. And the water pump and plate will hold that down flush. I've got to make sure that rubber is out of the way when I do it. That gives you an indication. So I'm going to get things ready to assemble, and we'll continue the video after that. Okay, my hands are clean. I've got this installed. It's down fairly flush. That rubber, I can see the line there where the plate went across to compress it, so or the edge of the pump housing, so I think that's going to be good. Okay, that gasket goes down like so. That's the shifter shaft there. Yeah, holes line up. This guy goes like so. And this one goes like this. The silicone bead side is up. And the holes match, and as I mentioned, the 4 holes are at different distances, so it's error-proofed that way. You can't put it backwards. If you tried, I actually did try earlier, and I was confused, but that's been sorted out. First of all, we'll put a little grease down on the plate. The grease will make sure that this does not get damaged during startup. It's going to be during assembly or startup. We'll have some lubrication. I'm going to put a little grease on that to help hold the key in. So the new key. The key goes like so. Okay, there's no front or back to this. I'm just going to put a little, well, already grease on the thing there. This goes over the shaft. They've cleaned the shaft. And boom, that was easy. There's a little bit of play, that's just the way it is. Once the bolts are in, they'll center up better. Come on. Now, here I'm getting all concerned. Why is this interfering with the rubber? Well, that's because they aren't compressed yet. So the next thing is going to be to put this on. Now to compress the vanes of the impeller, you need this lubed up. So face all the whole diameter. Like your fingers there. Okay, so this goes on. So now, motor turns clockwise when looking down at the shaft, unless you have some kind of reverse drive, which I guess is possible. Maybe with higher horsepower motors, you want left and right matching ones. But I don't like how that gasket has to suffer a little bit, eh? Okay, so I'm gonna just pull that up a bit. I'm not going to pull it out of the key. I think what I should have done is maybe put it in ahead of time before the gasket. I would have had less risk of damaging this gasket below. Next, let's dump out these washers. Oh, look at this. There is something here that makes me wonder. Oh, it does. This was not indicated anywhere else, but I see these fit the shaft. These are washers. They're supposed to go either top, bottom of the impeller. That is kind of interesting, eh? Yeah, we'll put one of these down. Yeah, take the key out. It's got to go before the key. Key goes on top of it. It's all very interesting. I'm going to try something. I'm going to take the washer. I'm going to put it right centered there. I'm going to rotate this in. Got to be careful not to damage the plastic washer. I've got the key roughly in line with that there. Let's try this. And I don't want to damage anything. It's going through. Okay, bingo. Bingo. Okay, all is in place. So if you're watching me and seeing whether I'm an authority at this, I'm not. This is the only second time I've replaced, I replaced an impeller in a Johnson or an Everroot before, and maybe in another little small Johnson. I can't remember now. I think I did two before, but I never messed with the whole thing. I always reused gaskets that were there, or I didn't disturb the bottom plate. And so, okay, so that feels like it's there. That's, give it a few turns. She's turning freely. Okay. There we go. Okay, a wee bit of Loctite. Okay, I will go get a torque wrench. The torque for these is 60 pound-inches, which is the same as 5 foot-pounds. And there is a sequence. You're supposed to go, I think it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. These are M6 screws with an M10 head. And so what we do is, this is less accurate, these things. Yeah, that's already pretty well there. Flicker would be more accurate, and also I wouldn't have to be looking at it like this. Yeah, you can't see it, so you don't know if I'm cheating or not, right? Come on. Well, what am I doing? I've got to do the other tighten. I don't know why I'm loosening it. Oops. Loose things there. Now I lost track. I guess I haven't done this one yet. Let me just double check. Yeah. And double check this guy too. And these, I'm pretty sure I got these tight enough. Yeah, man, those are definitely over tightened. Yeah, okay, good enough. Okay, so does it turn? Yes, it turns. We'll be putting the new water tube on, and it's interesting. I believe this one goes like so. Since it is different but the same. Different diameters. Ah, yes. So this is correct. It's error proofed, except an idiot like me could probably force that end up. Okay, we're going to set the lower unit into first gear. This is the shift shaft. We're going to leave the nylon spacer on. This is the coupler. It's a female spline all the way through, and half of it engages with the lower unit, half of it engages with the shaft up in the upper unit. This is just a guide sleeve. It's got a cone, a taper here to help mate and align the top in. But I'm going to take these two off here, and we'll take an 11/32 wrench box end, and we'll put it on. I found this confusing, and it is to verify this is in first gear, that the best way to do it is before you take the unit apart, set the controls in first gear, and then when this comes out, don't even touch that. Whatever, don't rotate it, don't do anything. But you notice it has this lost motion in it, and it's kind of like easy motion where it's not really clicking or doing anything, and it's easy to inadvertently move that. Or maybe you had to do some service and remove it. Maybe you were changing the seals under the plate here, but you have to make sure it gets back into first gear. Normally this turns, you can't see my hand very well, but it turns this way, clockwise. That's the engine motion. And for forward gear, this rotates this way. So that's first gear, or rather forward gear. So when you look down at this, you're turning clockwise, and when you look at that, it would be turning clockwise, first gear. So it's in first gear right now, but with all this motion here, where do you put it? And generally, rotate it all the way, before it clicks, rotate it all the way clockwise. And if you want to verify whether it's first gear or not, or forward gear, and whether it's in the right position, about to go into neutral, I would just continue on this shaft here, just apply some gentle pressure. It's not turning now. If I do turn it, it is actually turning this backwards, but I'm just putting gentle pressure on it. I'm going to click this clockwise until I feel this down here give. Okay, it's in neutral now. It's not connected at all. So I verified neutral. If I go back counterclockwise, click. Guess what? I feel resistance now here. If I try and turn it backwards, if I turn this clockwise, I get forward motion. I get clockwise motion out here. Let's try now. This time I'm going to put just gentle pressure counterclockwise. gentle pressure, just so I know when it goes in neutral. I click it just gently once. I've got neutral. Goes freely both ways. If I tip it just a little, one more detent. Whoops. This is, oh, boom, what is this? And then I just rotate it a little, still counterclockwise, and it feels like it's engaged. If I rotate this clockwise now, the drive shaft, whoops, we're in first gear still. Okay, let's get this around. Somehow I bypassed. It appears to be in first gear. Once it appears to be in first gear, turn it all the way till it stops, but not click. Don't turn it hard enough. Just, you can do it with your fingers. Then you can put this on just to verify. I should be able to find neutralness. It'll be, here is forward gear, neutral, reverse. Forward gear, neutral, reverse. So here I'm going to pull the wrench towards me while just giving a little opposite. I'm just going to give a little counterclockwise resistance to help it click, just as it clicks. And then I can turn it. Hey, it's free. Neutral. If I turn this, and that turns, don't worry about it. Just grab it with two fingers, go, oh, it's really in neutral. It's just that there's a little bit of drag in there and it's making it turn. If I click one more, just a tiny click, at this point, this is now going in reverse. When I turn this clockwise, always clockwise, motor always goes clockwise. So as I turn this, that's going counterclockwise. So I hope I didn't confuse you with some inadvertent hand motion. I'm going to go back to neutral. That's neutral because it's free. Then I'm going to click back one more, just a little one, and that at that point feels like it's in gear. I turn this clockwise, and this is turning clockwise. So there, I'm confirmed I'm in forward gear. Don't let it be, there's all this lost motion here, all this free motion, and it has to do with the cam, I guess, in the shape down here. Just bring it all the way, finger tight against that. Okay? Now we're ready to reassemble. Before attempting to assemble this to the motor, I'm going to put a little grease on the spline, and I'll put some in the motor also. On this we're going to leave assembled, this water tube adapter. It's got a little lead-in chamfer. I'm going to just put a little bit on the, just a little bit, thin coat on the lead-in chamfer there. Put that on. Oh, while we're at it, a little bit of grease. This is lithium grease. They specify Teflon grease of some sort. Okay, I'm going to jack this up just a little bit more, just for clearance. I hope the field of view is fine there for folks. Okay. So we've got to get the two splines aligned, this spline, that spline, and the water tube. Holding that up, raise the jack a bit. I suspect it might be a little easier if this was on the boat.
rather than hanging from the lift. Okay, that should shaft. Now, I'm going to turn the prop. Oh, there, I just turned the prop shaft just a hair, and I think I jumped up into the engine drive shaft spline. Now there's a last little bit to go, and it's probably the shifter. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I use the 5/8 on this as a compromise, and I can use the actual 16mm up there. Yeah, this is coming together. It was the this compression and the sliding on of the water tube that was causing this gap to persist. So the one, yep. The joint is together. We're halfway short. It's in gear right now. Oh, that's popping because okay. This is kind of hard to do. Push that down there. Wow. There we go. Okay, now it's in neutral. I compressed this just enough. I got it in neutral. Oops. It eased off. And it's, there, that's going neutral. There we are. It's snapped into neutral. And I would expect the next one will be reversed. So I still have a thermostat to replace, fuel filter, and the timing belt I want to change.